Hey everyone, good evening. I'm Darrell Winninger, the Chief Meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News. And across the high desert, it has been unseasonably warm. We've had another round of 70s, some 80s, and it's bone dry across the high desert. So that means a couple different changes here through the next few days. Number one, fire weather risk is elevated across the high desert. It's going to be that way until Friday night. Number two, Friday night, our next cold front pushes through the Pacific Northwest, bringing some showers and a sharp drop in temperatures. And number three, we're going from 70s back into the 50s. So buckle up. It is time for a deep dive into your most reliable forecast from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center, starting with what it looks like right here and right now. Across the high desert, we do have some cloud cover, just no precipitation in sight. And each one of these cameras helps to paint the picture of what's going on. A couple cameras are focused in, specifically the Oregon Hazard Labs cameras, our fire detection cameras. They're focused in on where there are some smoke plumes. Some of these are prescribed burns, and some of them are also pile burns. Now, we haven't had any wildfires today like we did yesterday, but it doesn't take much for some of the prescribed burns or pile burns or anything to get out of hand. And so we are continuing to track this very carefully. Now, through the Cascades, we're noticing a couple things, and we'll be looking a little bit more at these cameras, but we're starting to see some bare ground at the top of Hoodoo and Bachelor. It doesn't look too bad. Looks like it's pretty good out there. Meanwhile, through the day, we've had some in and out clouds. Earlier today, it was gorgeous, crystal clear conditions. Now, here through the today, we have a handful of prescribed burns that are ongoing. One of them is the one in the Crooked River grasslands near Madras, and that one, at last check, let me look again, but at last check, it was something along the lines of 260 some acres. So let me zoom back in. This is a Crooked River National Grassland Prescribed Burn, and it is set for 267 acres, so it's big. It's putting up a smoke plume. And earlier today, when I was hiking Pilot Butte this morning, you could look past Smith Rock and Great Butte, and you could actually see that smoke plume from Pilot Butte just on the other side of that. Now, east and southeast of Bend, there is a pair, I should say, of prescribed burns. But notice with even winds that are breezy, that smoke is being pushed away from Central Oregon. We're still keeping an eye on the remnants of the Riverview fire. That was 12 acres in Lapine. There we go. You could see it right next to the camera here that shows my face. Now, when it comes to air quality conditions, we're sitting in the green. These winds are so strong they're helping to move the smoke out of here, and that smoke isn't really going over any community. So when we put the flames back on there, and when we look at a different monitoring station, this is the Purple Air one, that one shows that we have good air quality as well. And we just got news that the Riverview fire from yesterday was an escape burn, and it got up to 11 acres, so just shy of 12 acres. Now, fire weather conditions are going to be a top concern through the next couple of days. Here's why. It is bone dry on the high desert. These relative humidity values are akin to what we typically see in the heat of summer. We have single digits and double digits, one of them up to 20%. And so with very dry conditions and afternoon winds that are breezy, it doesn't take much to really carry away a fire. And when we have very dry conditions, we also tend to focus a little bit more to temperatures as well, because under abundant sunshine, temperatures that are warmer tend to dry out that fuel bed. Now, once a fire starts, temperature plays less of a major role in this. That's when we turn to relative humidity and wind. But either way, it's unseasonably warm, it's sunny, that's drying out the fuels. If anything starts, it's very dry already, and winds are gusty. Some of these gusts between 20 and 30 miles per hour. Actual wind speeds are 10 to 15 miles per hour, mostly coming out of the west. And here through the next couple of hours, wind speeds come down to a light breeze tonight. By tomorrow, it gets breezy again. Then back to a light breeze overnight. And then fast forward to Friday, breezy at times. So between now and the end of our work week, while we're staying in this unseasonably warm range of temperatures, it's still going to be breezy at times. Each day, those winds start off in the south and southwest and swing around to the west and northwest. Now, because of this, outside of the conditions that I already showed you, the National Weather Service has also issued a special weather statement for the entire area of Central Oregon. Now, or I should say for all three counties, and Central Oregon, not the entire area. The east slopes of the Cascades are not included in this. However, it's still going to be pretty dry for you folks as well. But what we're looking at is this goes until 5 p.m. Thursday. And with this type of special weather statement, you have to focus on what the bulletin says, and it basically says what I've been talking about. Dry conditions, breezy at times, warm temperatures, all that equals the fuels drying out quickly on the surface. Any fires that start are likely to spread rapidly. So when we look at fire weather risk, note moderate is yellow, orange is high. What we're seeing through Central, and this is one of those prescribed birds, what we're seeing across Central Oregon is each afternoon it gets up to moderate conditions and comes back down overnight, and that goes all the way through Friday. So we don't have a very, very high or extreme risk of fire weather conditions. However, there is a chance that if any fires start, they're going to be spreading. And that's just because of what's happening. Meanwhile, when we look at traffic cameras, nothing looks bad. In fact, everything looks good. There are some shadows on the ground indicative of those in and out clouds, so the sun's shining through. And when we look at roads and the passes, each one of them help to paint the picture of melting snowpack in the Cascades. You do not see too much in the way of white on the side of the roads here, and that includes Century Drive on the way to Bachelor. Now, hoodoo cameras are not looking good at all. The top of that is the one I was showing you earlier, and all we could see is where there was a little bit of bare conditions. But look at the top of Odag. Look at the top of the Green Chair. Look at the top of Manzanita, which is about halfway up the mountain. This one's looking to the south, I believe. No, that one's looking to the east. Yeah, that one's looking to the east, and it just shows some bare spots on the ground. Even the bowl, it shows that we have bare soil, and so that's why Hoodoo has already closed. Now, when it comes to Bachelor, no new snow at the snow stake, and we're continuing to track everything, but really just melting conditions. Even when we look at the snow report, what we're seeing is we've lost 1 to 3 inches of snow through the Cascades. Now, where the Hoodoo does their measurements, it still says 11 inches, but we saw those bare patches. Now, there's 40 inches up at Bachelor, 77 at Hood, Timberline, and Meadows has 59 inches, but we are continuing to lose some of that snowpack day by day. And it doesn't look like we're looking at a refresh except maybe early next week. We'll talk about that here in the next couple minutes. But Thursday's powder prognosis does not look happy. Temperatures still topping out in the 50s and 60s. And translate that to the lower elevations, 70s with some 80s. Now, our forecast model shows that here through the overnight hours and Thursday, we're staying mostly clear. Thursday afternoon, a few more clouds roll in. By Friday, more PM clouds expected in advance of our next cold front. That cold front pushes through Friday night going into Saturday. That's our next chance of rain, and it's just some hit and miss showers. It's not even a lot. So some of those clouds are already rolling into Central Oregon, and really, our high pressure is still pretty strong. It will start to flatten gradually, meaning increasing clouds are expected during the next couple of days. But ultimately, this Pineapple Express is still an atmospheric river, pumping in a whole lot of moisture from the latitudes of Hawaii. And so it is a Pineapple Express, as it is an atmospheric river. We are currently in an area that is sitting right under a broad ridge of high pressure, encompassing most of the West Coast, Four Corners region, coming up through Nevada and California, and Oregon is where you start to see some of the clouds. That precipitation is way to the north, and you can see that huge dry air mass. Way to our south, it's also a very warm air mass, and we're starting to feel the effects of that as well. So high temperatures in the last 24 hours, look, wow. 70s and 80s, mid to upper 70s and 80s. In fact, we broke record high temperatures at Redmond, Madras, Prineville, Sun River, and Sisters Bend was 1 degree away from tying a record high temperature set back in 1916. We got to 81. That record high was 82. So we were close there as well. Temperatures currently sitting in the 70s with 68 in Sisters and 81 in Warm Springs. So we're running between 1 degree cooler and 5 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. By tomorrow, we're still topping out in the mid to upper 70s. Now, this warming is going to continue before weekend changes, and here's how that plays out. Through Thursday, we're looking at highs in the 70s with some 80s. Tons of sunshine, no precipitation in sight, temperatures way above average for this time of the year, and flirting with record highs. There's a slight dip in temperatures Friday. The cold front doesn't actually push through until the late afternoon and evening hours. And what that means for us is there's still a lot of warming before that happens. And more clouds are expected. It'll slow down the warming, but we're still looking at mid to upper 70s. By Saturday, on the backside of that cold front, showers will push through the high desert. Few lingering by Saturday morning. Then we get our clearing. Now this triggers a big dip in temperatures going from the 70s and 80s into the 50s, maybe even some 40s for highs. Now, but through Saturday, we're just looking at some scattered showers. We're going to come back to this and zoom in at it later. But let's just stay with this roller coaster temperature trend because we have unseasonably warm temperatures, record high temperatures, however you want to say it, through this the spring, the vernal equinox, which is Friday morning. And then we get those showers. That triggers a big dip in temperatures, followed by clearing this weekend and a gradual warming trend that brings us back into the 60s. Now, your forecast model shows that it's really not going to be until we get to next week that we start to see our next chance of rain, significant rain. But for tonight, we are talking about temperatures in the 40s with a few 30s. By tomorrow, expect those temperatures to top out in the 80s and 70s once again. Here's a quick look at the 7-day planet. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News with the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.